everybody. My name's Tony Cardenas, and this is the Indy Real Estate Market Weekly Podcast. Today, we're sitting here with Shelly Walters with FC.Tucker, Justin Griffith with Keller Williams. He's back in the house, and Kyle Morris with FC.Tucker. Hey, everybody, how's it going?
It's good. Why was it 70 yesterday and now it's like 40?
I don't know. Call your weather.
Indiana?
Yeah, Indiana. But hey, I want to kind of kick this off with the mortgage rates. Mortgage rates spiked up yesterday a little bit. We're going to have to see what midday does today. Mortgage rates are going a little bit higher, but here's the other side of it. You know, we have big lenders that are cutting off a lot of employees. Rocket Mortgage cut a combined of 9,500 positions in 2022, and it looks like they're going to cut a little bit more. But that goes with the market. We have low inventory here, and so when that happens and we have low inventory, as we were talking before the show, and we talked last week, and Shelly and I talked on the phone this morning, it seems to me that, like I talked about it in the last two shows, that I thought you guys were really kind of wrong on having, quit smiling, everybody, like you told me so. But Shelly told me, you told me, Greg Cooper's not on the show today. He told me, and we are having, starting to have multiple offers. And Shelly, you know, you've said it to me many, many times. Let's talk about this just a little bit. And then I would like to move over after this to what are agents doing when they're making offers or trying to, to make a sale happen. So Shelly, kick it off, please.
Well, first of all, we were talking this morning, too, is you were saying some of the numbers in regards to applications for mortgages. Where are we on those?
We're down at least I'm going to say we're down almost 50%.
Yep.
Yeah, on average.
I mean, applications are down, so that obviously hurts the real estate sales for real estate agents. So the seasoned veterans, as I have you three guys right here, you have past clients, referrals, and some marketing out there. And if you're a new agent today, you better be doing some of that or you're not going to be able to stay in the game.
Yeah, but the buyers who are out there, they're committed buyers. It's like people buying in November and December. They're not looky-loosey.
But I want to go over to Shelly here real quick. Shelly, and we could all touch on this, but let's talk about houses going for list price. I'm going to talk about the Carmel, Westfield, Hamilton County area. And then I want to touch on one that you were involved in last week. Mm-hmm. Okay, Shelly.
Well, it is just where we were saying we were heading, and we were talking about is a spring market. It is March, but the issues with offers and houses hitting the market today, if they're hitting the market, we have like a bipolar market right now. We have all the houses that have been sitting on the market since October and November and December, and like we talked about last week as well, that's where we're getting this average days on market. So we have all these homes. Then we have the homes that are now just coming on the market in this past week or two or three, and they're selling very quickly. So we're back into that market of multiple offers and selling within days on market and having, competitive bids and having a short timeline to, get in and see the house quickly. So we're back to, I think, exactly where we were for the past 2 years. But there is a pocket of homes still sitting out there that still haven't sold.
But Shelly, let me jump into that for a minute. Why aren't they selling? Are they overpriced? Have they been on the market too long? Are they crap houses? Why are they still just sitting on the market?
Well, I don't know. Kyle, you had an answer to that.
Yeah. I mean, I have one right now. Average days on market was up, right? And then we switched systems, which added about a 10 to 14 day delay.
The VLC system.
Yeah. So that made stuff look like it. I mean, it had been on the market, right? But it was harder to search, harder to get showings, all this other stuff. And then all of a sudden you pivot into this mindset that we have kind of like culturally to a certain extent of what's wrong with it, right? It hasn't sold, blah, 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 because the average consumer didn't pivot with the market as quickly as like the agents did, obviously, right? So all of a sudden it went from like 4 days on market to like 30 days on market within the span of like 45 days. And people think something's wrong with it. But all those are going to disappear because people are going to be missing out on properties and they're going to go look at these houses and be like, what was wrong with this? They'll walk in and they'll be like, there's nothing wrong with it. They just listed in the winter. A couple things happened during the winter. I have one, it's a great house. and it's, just kind of sitting just because of when it was listed. And so that's what people say, hey, what's wrong with it? And I'm like, literally nothing whatsoever.
Justin was talking about his too.
Yeah, same thing. I have a brand new construction house downtown that it's like, we've had a handful of showings, but just it's been sitting. We keep having the open houses. We're priced accordingly. It's just one of those things.
It is weird, that mindset from a buyer. It's like, oh, that's been on the market for a while, I won't go look at it. But buyers, if there's a house out there that you think is a really good house for you, probably a better way to get a house today and not have to do multiple offers, because the multiple offer situation happens because of that frenzy in the first 4 to 5 days. That disappears very quickly. So that also gets back to, if you're a seller and you're talking about listing that property, you need to list it at the correct price, probably a little under market value, so you can get the multiple offer situation and get a really good price for your house. But once you've sat on the market for 15, 20 days, multiple offers are hard to do. But they still happen, and that's the other thing that's really funny, is I've worked with buyers or something that, you call the agent and say, do you have any offers? They say no. And then we go back and we look at the house, and then you say you're interested in making an offer, and all of a sudden it's a multiple offer situation. Yep. Why? Because all of us agents were saying, let me know if you have something happen, because we're watching this house that's been on the market for quite a few days. Right. We don't feel that urgency anymore. We're going to keep looking, but we really like this house. Let me know. As soon as one person says, I have an offer coming, all the other agents that say, let me know, now you're in multiple offer again. So I'm not saying it won't happen. It's probably going to happen. Yep. It's just knowing that it's a better chance of not escalating if you're looking at those days on market. And there's a lot of houses out there right now.
Absolutely. The weird thing that I've noticed too, and I think it's just born out of the past 2 years, is if somebody says, something is overpriced, okay, well, send me an offer. What do you think it's worth? And we'll figure. Like, I don't know why that's not happening. It hasn't been happening.
Kind of like buying a car. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I'm in negotiations
it's much
for
harder.
A business. Right. Like I, as an agent, we'll send something all day long, and I'll just call like, hey, this is, this isn't where we want to be at, but like, we also don't want to be where you're at. Like, how do we figure this out? And I don't see agents even just submitting like,
because they don't know how to do it. And I would bet a lot of that.
Well, they do, because it's not hard.
If they do, then why aren't they doing it?
You've had years of where that was not flying. So it's like kind of like out of your wheelhouse now. It's like
I understand that because of the COVID market and everything else. But the bottom line is, if you don't think something's worth something, you got to be creative enough for your buyer or your seller to say, hey, send me an offer. Because if you're not that smart, then you're not that great of an agent for your buyer or seller, right,
It's not
Shelly?
the list agent. It's the buyer's agent.
Okay, but wait a minute. Then that buyer's agent's not that smart.
Well,
we run into that sometimes, but also, like, I mean, one of the things you just mentioned too is like the hesitation. Like, if you find something like, hey, we're interested, but let us know, you're like, the client's going to end up paying more money at that point, because if they're hesitating, like, they could have got it under ask price.
Sure.
Now, if there's multiple situations, like, you're going to be over ask price, and you're probably giving up something that you could have asked for, a week before.
It's just odd. That's all.
Well, the other thing is, we have to give the information up front to our buyers of what they're going to be walking into in this market. Again, it's back to understanding the multiple offer situations, escalation clauses, appraisal gap. And if a buyer is understanding what they need to do to make an offer today, then they need to understand what they have to make that offer and how they need to make that offer in order to get it. If you try to have that conversation after they've found a house they like, they may not be mentally prepared for that and or even want to. So our conversation up front is, do you want to be in this market? Yeah. This is the market we're in.
With high rates, too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, we could talk about rates all day long, but we are in the 7% range, very easy right now. Some brokers are in the 6.875% range, 8.75. But banks are at 7.25, 7.5. I'm telling you, they are. You go to a PNC, you go to a Chase Bank, you go to a Regions. You're going to walk in the door and they're going to think that's what you're supposed to pay. It's not what you're supposed to pay. You're supposed to shop on your rate. But the bottom line is, if you can negotiate your rate down or find a lender that has a better rate, and you can find a house that you like you said earlier, and you can make that offer and don't have any hesitation, a great realtor can put a good deal together for your buyer or your seller.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And it does come down to also negotiating through conversations between the two agents, because anybody who just slams an offer towards somebody
that
in the
doesn't work.
email inbox and you get it and you didn't have a conversation, there's a really good chance that's probably not going to work out. But making that phone call and having a discussion with the list agent about what they need, what the seller needs, what you're planning on doing, and just having a really good conversation up front and then preparing the purchase agreement will get you a lot farther.
Okay, let me ask you this about listings. That's enough on this. But let me ask you this. Listings. You brought it up last year. You brought it up multiple times. You brought it up. I don't think Coop did. But here's the thing. And I heard a lot of it out of you. Like when you're listing a home in Meridian, Kessler, or Broad Ripple, okay, more of a metro type of area, you were talking about certain days of the week to list the property. And why do you say that?
I mean,
okay, so let's walk through that, but I don't want to go more than a couple minutes on it.
And I see people who don't do it. Actually, last year I started to see it pivot.
But what do you call it? What would you call it?
I just look at human behavior, honestly. But and so I think people acclimated to the human behavior to like not compete on the weekend, so they started listing on Mondays. For the way we do it, I always list on a Thursday unless like there's an odd reason why.
Right, you're shaking your head yes too,
Yes.
Shelly. Okay, so why do you guys do that?
Here's why. So the auto emails that that come from my board to go out for like new listings, it goes out at 8 a.m.
Right.
So usually office staff doesn't even go in until 9 a.m. at most brokerages, right? So if you go live on a Friday, you're not going to hit everybody's auto emails on Friday. And most people look at what they're going to do on the weekends as far as open houses and looking at houses Friday at lunch. So if I don't hit that Friday at lunch, and the only way to hit that is on a Thursday.
Yep.
I mean, I found out by mistake, like my first year in the business, like I listed on a Friday and I was like, got a ton of traction on Sunday and none on Saturday. I was like, what's going on? It was because people didn't really, except for the people who were like really on it and just like openly searching versus like an automated search, so to speak. They didn't even see it until Saturday, right? So like that's how like I think about how people consume things, and so that's how we market to people, and that's just
and it looks like fresh inventory to me. Okay, as a person that's not a realtor, it looks like fresh inventory coming on the market for the weekend to rush out there and go look at before it gets snapped up.
But to that point, though, so like my people who don't want to compete, like what Shelly was saying, I tell them to not look till Tuesday because it made it through the weekend and you're not competitive. And so, like, let's go look at it now. So, like, there's two different, veins of thought with this as to, like, how people consume information and apply it. And in my opinion, that's just kind of the stuff I really like to get into and pay attention to.
Shelly?
Well, if we get into the market, like you said, if you wait till Tuesday, there's a good chance that with the inventory, the low inventory, you're going to miss a lot of houses, period. So it gets back to the mindset of understanding the market you're going to be in to purchase a home today is going out and looking at that house and knowing that it's going to snatch up. And we do look at the rules as well from that list agent. What are the rules to the listing? And it's going to say, no offers accepted until Monday. So it's you put it on the market on Thursday. It's available to be seen Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and all offers will be reviewed after Sunday. So that is setting it up for a competitive bid. When you have a great house, what's going to happen. I think you want to also make sure people understand why we're doing that. We are not, and this is what my mentality is, I am not trying to set it up so we get the most amount of money and try and screw anybody and get, really multiple offers. I'm trying to say, we're going to leave this open so you as buyers have the opportunity to come and see this house, because there's nothing more frustrating for buyers who can't, because of anything that they have to do because of their schedule, they can't get in and see in the house and it sells so quickly.
Like 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night.
Justin?
Yeah.
You see it too?
I just want to make sure
yeah.
that we say that one of the reasons we're doing that is giving opportunity to buyers, because we know the frustration of this particular market, so buyers have the opportunity to get in the next 3 days and see it before we close it down.
Okay, so I know that let's talk about the nerve points that we all experience throughout the week on conversations about offers and stuff. Shelly, I want to start this off with you that when you're getting offers on a house, or somebody's going to go look at a house, and you get a phone call I can't get in the house. Do you guys get a lot of phone calls where the agent, and we're helping new agents and agents that maybe just aren't looking all the way, they need to read the whole listing sheet, am I right?
Absolutely.
Before they start making phone calls and making appointments and everything. Shelly, let's kind of go on that just a little bit.
Well, one of the things I have found my entire career is there is a box called agent-to-agent remarks, and that is information for agents to give to other agents. So the list agent is giving you all the information you need to know about that property. It is not open to the buyer and the actual general public to see. It is our information to help you understand what is going to be happening during this listing, whether or not it's closed, post-possession, how to get in the house, why, if there's a sign in the yard, or why there's not a sign. I mean,
Location of the lockbox.
Yeah.
And just
Little tiny things, right?
very important things.
Right. But they add up.
But so if you're but it's there for us to help the other agents and say, here's all the information I can gather to you, because I know if you're going to make a showing, I can't pick up the phone and call you and give you this information over and over again. So read the agent-to-agent remarks. I'm begging agents to remember to do that, because there's very good information.
But I want to touch on something. An agent gives you a call, and I know every one of you have had these, and maybe you've done it yourself. Agent gives you a call and says, well, I don't see a sign out front. Let's talk about that piece.
Well, I mean, it's like not all people want their sign. I mean, especially if you have a vacant property, sometimes like having a sign out front, it's like to someone that's looking to do something bad, they're like, hey, there's probably some appliances in there.
Yep.
And that's happened to me doing flips. I mean,
know
it's
that.
just like you really.
That happened to you last year.
Yep.
Okay. Shelly, what do you expound on that just a little bit?
Well, there's always reasons. And again, many times if there wasn't a sign in the yard, it's an agent-to-agent remarks, no sign in the yard.
But what happens when the agent calls you up and says, I don't see a sign in the yard? What do you guys reply to them? Look at the sheet.
Did you read the listing sheet? Yeah.
point.
It's like we put these here not for, killing time. It's like to help people out. And if you're not helping sell our product, then you're really not doing a good job from the start. I mean,
I don't even engage it. I'm just like, yep, there's not a sign in the yard.
I know.
You find it. Do you find the house? I don't need to explain it to another agent, honestly.
But
I just
if you
need
get
them
the
to
phone
be there.
call, you have to.
I don't really get a phone call like that. I haven't had that experience. If I did, I just wouldn't engage it, just because it doesn't serve a purpose. In my opinion, like if they can't figure that out, like
But let me
I
ask
already
you a
know where
question.
this is going.
When people
Yeah.
want,
You know what I mean? Like I know how.
What's the use of having that conversation? Why did you even have to, say
right?
that?
But
Yeah.
why? Let me
Thank
ask
you for
a question.
telling me what I already knew.
I mean, a nice way to be is, I don't know if you had a sign in the yard, but it's gone.
Correct. That would be the
Could've
That would
blown
be the
away.
one way to say it. But yeah.
Okay, well, enough on that. Do people in the market today, the way the housing's going right now, I don't care about last year, do people that have a house in Broad Ripple or Meridian Kessler or Carmel, Westfield, do they say don't put a sign in the yard today?
no, I mean, it really depends like
so
per
specific.
basis. Yeah. Because like certain people just don't want their neighbors to know about it. They're like, oh, I don't want them to find out. They might have an agent that lives next door
Right,
that they're not using. I mean, there's a lot of things that come into
We've
it.
all heard that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just don't think it happens that often. It's just it's one of the things we just talk about, like with this podcast, like just improving the professionalism, make everybody better. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
You were talking about it, about the phone calls and stuff. I mean, it still blows my mind today. Like when I open my email, I have a house on the market, and somebody sent me an offer, and I got no text, no phone call, no anything. Like my first reaction is, like I check my emails probably like 8 to 10 times a day, right? But it could happen in an hour. I'm like, what's the response time? I got nothing, and that's just very frustrating for me. It takes no time. I feel like I get deals done because I do communicate. I think that's one of the things we were talking about with like our, you were talking about like one of our nerve points with this.
Right.
I think the three of us do very, very well because I do communicate with other agents and I do make those phone calls. I know what it takes to get a house. The art of so listings is actually, especially in a market like this, way, way easier than people. I mean, you got to navigate, you got to be pretty detail oriented, but there is an art to writing a purchase agreement in this kind of
Terrain.
market. And it includes your communication.
Right. The art of writing it is one thing too, but actually being professional, like you said, in regards to giving people notice. But we had an offer given to our listing Friday. It was emailed at 9 p.m. and they gave us till 9 a.m. to accept it. No communication that the offer was sent. But come on, that's like your buyer. You're not helping your buyer. You're trying to present. You went to the house. You showed the house. The buyer says they're
Trying to be a
interested.
bulldog.
They want to write the offer, but I mean, people sleep. I mean, we can't.
Yeah.
It's just the things about writing and being communicative, but also just being professional and giving everybody the opportunity, because that just starts out the process. But it expired before the agent even knew he had the offer.
They didn't want it that bad, did they?
Well, I don't know what the problem was.
Okay, hey, I want to touch on one thing, and then we're going to go to the housing traffic report, okay? On October 24th, 2020, of this year,
Last year.
Last year, excuse me, October 24th of 2022. The interest rates were at 7.375. Okay, today, okay, we had a big dip down for a while. We're at 7%, no matter what anybody says. Okay, so we are going to pass this. I'm telling you right now. The rates are coming around the corner. We're going to pass it. We're going to have another Fed rate hike, and we're probably going to be at 7.5 here very, very soon on the broker side. So that means if you're at the bank, you're going to be at 7.875, and then they're going to start coming out with all kinds of opportunities to try to get it down a little bit. But all right. So I wanted to touch base on the mortgage rates for the last time in this show. Shelly, let's go over Carmel.
Okay, so in Carmel, 27 homes were listed. 8 of those were new builds, 15 pended. Currently active in Carmel, there are 66. Half of those are new builds. There's 35 that are resales.
Right.
So that's what's active.
Very, very low.
And again, so 35 resales, 31s are new build, 31 maybe not even out of the ground. So again, just trying to say the difference there. Anywhere from $245,000 to $4.9 million. In the last 30 days, 88 sold, 16 of those were new build. And days on market, here we talk about this again.
Yep.
Median days on market for the solds in the past 30 days was 18. The average was 41. The average is they're talking about sucking up those homes that have been on the market for a long time.
Still good turnaround.
Yes, average days on market.
What about Westfield?
Good. Westfield, there were 41 that were listed. 14 of those pended.
Wow.
23 were new builds. And then if you look at the current active, there are 144.
Yeah, but how many new builds are those,
90.
please? 90. Those are.
So there's really only.
And some of those don't even have. They don't have any wood on the lot yet.
There's
Okay, no
nothing,
foundations, no nothing.
These
so,
are completely spec. So
Right.
only 54 resales in Westfield. So that's a very low number.
and what's the days on market there?
Well, we have 200, anywhere from 205 to 3.2 million. There's 103 sold in the past 30 days.
Interesting.
There. 54 new builds, so half again.
Right.
So then average days on market there is 42, median's 13. So Westfield's selling very quickly. Zionsville, 9 houses on the market that were listed, and none of those were new builds. 4 pended. There's currently 37 active. 11 of those are new builds, anywhere from 225 to 3.4. And then in the past 30 days, 27 have sold. Only 3 were new builds. Median days on market 21 and average 47. So Zionsville's pretty even on those average days on market.
Wow. But the new inventory's turning quick. Mm-hmm. So if you want one of these houses, you better jump on it. What do you got there? Let's move over to Kyle, and then we'll get down to Metro. Okay.
So
what do you got, Kyle, for Hamilton County, Fishers, and Noblesville?
I mean, the market is, we're getting into the spring market now. I mean, Fisher's had a pretty significant uptick of houses that went on the market.
How many?
36 went on the market, anywhere from 257 to 2.35 million. But here, so I like that more houses are going on the market. People have better options, I guess, selection, we'll call it. 18 of them are still active, 18 of them pended. 33 total pended last week, which still creates negative inventory. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
we don't have enough inventory.
There's 76 on the market, but this is what we were talking about last week, how once these old houses get cleared out, average days on market in Fishers has gone down now sub 30 to like 27, right? Okay. So they're starting to catch up. And then Noblesville, we had 22 go on the market, anywhere from 125 to 939. 13 are still active, 9 of them pended, and 30 total. So that still creates a negative inventory there, right? 30 pended versus 22 on the market. Average day on market there was really high. It was 52, but when I was looking at it, I had a June pending. I had a couple September pendings, stuff like that. And there's 87 actually on the market. So it's eating up. More houses are going on the market, but they're going.
Right. Yep. And Justin, let's go over to Indy, Metro, Broad Ripple, Meridian, Kessler, and a few more spots that you have down there, please. Let's start off with Broad Ripple, if you would, please.
Yeah, and before I get started, too, one of the things I was looking at was just like the average days on the market for the pendings. And I've had in 3 different of the areas, like one that was over 130 days, and each of them that just went pending. So if your home's sitting right now, like, don't think it's the end of the world. It's just that one buyer like makes it all happen.
But it could be that one house too, or a couple houses that are messing everything up too. Yep. All right. So what do we got for Broad Ripple?
Broad Ripple, we have 3 new actives for 17 total. We ended up having 9 new listings hit the market. 6 are pending. We had 5 closings. The average price at $282. Average days on the market is 55 and the median 60. So that's really, really
What's
close.
the average price in Broad Ripple?
282.6 on the 5 closings.
On the 5 closings.
So a little low. Yep.
What was the high again?
I do not have the high on that one. Right. For Meridian Kessler, we had 10 new listed, 8 of those pended. 8 pended.
8 pended in a week?
Out of 10.
Out of 7 days.
Oh my God!
That's why their inventory is always so.
It is.
So what was?
So if you're looking at Meridian Kessler, you need an agent because you need to
knows
go
what
see
the hell they're doing.
Oh yeah.
The second it hits the market.
That's right.
Those were priced anywhere from 140 up to 710. They had
to 710. Okay.
10 penned last week, and we had 8 close, priced anywhere from 246 up to 2.45 million. The average was 844,000. The median was actually 405, just because that one outlier was so huge.
Right.
Days on the market, average 61, and the median's 48, so pretty close.
Yeah.
Fountain Square, we had 8 new listings. 2 of those pended, so we still have 6 left over. Gives us a total of 39, so we have plenty in Fountain Square right now for sale. 5 pended, and that's one of the ones where I had one that was 136 days.
Yeah.
And then we had 4.
We don't count that one.
No. Well, I mean, we count it. We count them all.
I know. I know.
I have one of those closing right after
It's
this.
in the it's in the
I know it's in the data, but go ahead.
And then we had 4 close in Fountain Square, average price of 277. Days on market average is 122, and the median is 46.
Interesting.
So big gap. And then lastly, Bates Hendricks, we had 8 new listings. 2 of those pended. We have 24 total for sale. And the 4 closings we had averaged at 276.
What was the low in Bates Hendricks?
It was 46,000. I did
That
not
was a
look
lot.
at it. I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
It should have been a home, but I'll double check.
46,000. We should have all ran down there and bought it.
Well, you never
it might be
know.
a matchstick. You have no idea.
I got you. But that's okay. I mean, it's still
Price is relevant.
showing you right now in our area, besides the new builds, you know, the builders are getting traffic. The builders are giving, they're trying to come out of the woodwork, trying to make some deals. Okay, because people want the current inventory where they can move into a house. If you know, the inventory's turning, and I did disagree with everybody sitting here. I did disagree that I didn't see this type of overpricing coming on all these, like those Meridian Kessler ones. You know, I almost bet every one of those went for list price, if not over.
Oh,
Yeah, there were some under. I didn't run the numbers on that, but I think there was 5 that were actually under.
Really?
Yep.
But that was on the close.
I'd like to see
closed
that
price, not the
Right,
the
I'd like
ones
to
that
see that
sold
data
this week.
sometime.
Yep.
Right.
Right,
Well-
we're delayed on seeing the sales that
Oh,
are
of course we
pending
are.
right now. It's 30 days away for us average to see what their list to sale ratio is.
Yeah.
But we should start looking at list to sale ratio
Yeah,
again.
we will.
I mean, it's
let's start it next week.
The market is just saying like we think interest rates are going to come down, but yeah, I mean the bigger problem you have with
But wait a
interest
minute,
rates right now,
What did you just say?
I think when people are buying like this, right? So you got people
the
who
buyers,
have to move.
the uneducated.
Well, I don't want to
Well,
say
the
somebody's
educated.
uneducated.
No, wait a
but
minute. Who's educated that thinks the interest rates are going to go down?
Eventually, over
No.
Yeah.
I'm talking about in this market right now.
No,
we're
I'm not
talking
saying
about
that. I think-
refinance down the road.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
you got 2.5. You got 18 months to 24 months.
And
It is
people
going to
know
be a
that.
frenzy out there.
Yeah, and so I think people know that. I think
I got you
the
that.
only thing you run into is like we'll call it like sub 4s.
Yeah.
You know, you start with these.
I thought
higher-
you were talking about buyers in the market today and sellers.
Well, I think the buyers are like, we'll just refinance, because we're high.
Smart
But
buyer.
I think the sub 4 you start to run into with the interest rates.
Soon as
debt
we-
to income ratio can come into
As
play.
soon as we get it a 4.875, you're going to see a firestorm out here. It's like a liquor store on every corner, except for you're going to see a mortgage guy out here on every corner trying to do deals.
Bet Rocket Mortgage will be hiring again.
Well, I bet Rocket will too, but I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot of local mortgage companies here that they're charging points, and I'm telling you right now in this market, do not pay points, period. Take the rate and forget it, because if you pay the point, you're never going to recover.
Well,
That is the
point-
bottom line.
We had how many months? Maybe 2 months where we could ask the sellers to pay the points.
Yeah, forget it.
That's gone.
Yeah.
And we were saying that. We were saying in January, February, get out there, take advantage of this market right now because it's going to go away quick, and it did.
Okay, everybody. Justin, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, what company do you work for, and how did they get a hold of you?
Keller Williams, Indy Metro Northeast. You can get a hold of me at 317-507-5599 or fishers.realestate.
Okay, and Shelly Walters, how do we get a hold of you, and what company do you work for?
Shelly Walters Realty Group with FC.Tucker. You can reach me on my cell phone, 317-201-2601.
And Kyle Morris, a.k.a. Big Daddy.
I want to bounce my face off the microphone for some reason.
Come on. How did they get a hold of you?
It's
Who you
Morris
work for?
Property Group with FC Tucker, 317-649-5122.
Okay, and who is your boss this week?
This week,
Come on.
She doesn't listen, so I'm going to say me.
All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Indy Real Estate Market Weekly podcast, and we will talk to you next week.